You found yourself on another episode of Locked On Bulls. In today's episode, we're going to go over the Bulls' next 5 games. Charles Barkley also says the Chicago Bulls should move to Seattle or Vegas. And we're going to talk about a former Bulls player or coach that could save this version of the team. We're going to have some fun with that one. We're going to do all that and more on today's Locked On Bulls.
You are Locked On Bulls, your daily podcast on the Chicago Bulls, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Locked On Bulls, member of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every single day. That's Pat the Designer, host and creator of the Windy City Breeze and host of the Chicago Bears podcast over at ESPN 1000. I'm Haize, host and creator of Chicago Bulls and Chicago Bears Central's YouTube pages and podcasts. But Pat, let's jump right into it today, man. So the Bulls have been going through it. They are 0-4. Well, they went 0-4 on this road trip. They now go out for the rest of their schedule. And even though the NBA has added 2 games to the schedule, both on December 6th with Charlotte and December 8th with San Antonio, which gives us some easy games in between what was a hellacious schedule. We got Milwaukee up next, New Orleans, then Charlotte, then San Antonio, and then finish there with the Milwaukee Bucks. And then if you want to go a little bit further than that, Denver, Miami, and Philly.
Listen, it's an ugly start for the Bulls. I mean, like this is, and it's not going to get easier for them. No. But we said this, right? We said coming into the season, we knew that this team would be, early on because of what you're able to do versus the tough teams. And I think that we've seen probably, I'd say we've probably seen some really, really competitive basketball early on here through the first couple of months of the season, which maybe you wouldn't have seen before. Due to the in-season tournament. I think that last night's Golden State versus the Kings game was elite. And it was absolutely a great watch. So I think that you're seeing really good basketball right now. And we know who this Bulls team is. Because we know who this Bulls team is, I don't foresee a change, right? Like I feel like last season there was a ton of, this is the game the Bulls are going to get. Yeah. Right? Like you saw, like a Boston game last year was like, this is the one. They'll get it right. They'll figure it out. We'll be excited. We'll talk about it. Maybe they turn the corner. They never did, right? That's not happening this season. The reason that that's not happening this season is because the players are resigned to what the fate is now. It seems like maybe even Billy Donovan is resigned to what the fate of this team is now. So over the next 5 games, I don't see much change. I don't even know if I see a win in the next 5 games for the Chicago Bulls.
You don't think they get a win over Charlotte and San Antonio?
I don't think they beat San Antonio because even when I guess you could say this team was at their best, San Antonio gave us fits, and it's just because Pop's an amazing coach.
Have you seen how the San Antonio Spurs have been playing this year? You got people saying that they are wasting Wemby's rookie year, and I'm like, did y'all really have that expectation?
They thought they were going to the playoffs. 100%.
You thought that they were going to the playoffs. Yeah. Don't say they. Don't separate yourself from it, there, brother.
I think I said play in. I don't think I said
no, bro. You were like, nah, they getting Wemby. They absolutely going to try to make the playoffs.
I said they were top 6. I didn't say they were top 6.
You said they were going to make the playoffs, bro. We can run the tape.
I think we might need to run the tape on that. I believe what I said was play in.
Okay, bro.
I think what I said was play in. I don't know if I said playoffs, I was wrong. I do think they have more talent than maybe what they're getting out of it. But
sure.
I don't think that they can beat the Spurs. And I don't believe that they can beat now that there's another ball brother down with an injury, they probably can beat Charlotte. The question is, will they beat Charlotte?
No, because Brandon Miller's going to go off for 45.
You know what I mean? Like that's honestly
Brandon Miller and PJ Washington are going to look like Paul George and KD are out there at the same time, just cooking us up, bro.
Yeah, it's not even the second coming of the Al Jefferson Charlotte Hornets. It's going to look like the first coming, straight up Al Jefferson on that team. Like, yeah, I mean, like they're going to get cooked. They're going to get cooked by somebody we don't suspect them to get cooked by, right? Like Brandon Miller, I feel like we suspect. Terry Rozier is going to be the one to do it.
Is Book not even still on the team? Maybe he's not on the team anymore.
It's gross.
Oh,
Mark Williams has his
Book Knight
first
still is on the
30-point
team.
game.
Don't let Miles Bridges be the one to go off on us. Please.
Oh,
just
man.
Don't do that.
That's I don't know what it is anymore. I think that's the part that sucks the most about this, right? When you look at the next 5 games, with a lot of teams, you would expect some kind of change.
Mm-hmm.
With the Bulls, over the next 5 games, what change are we going to see? Nothing. You're going to keep running these guys out there. Maybe you go to Kobe White and Patrick Williams more, but what is that really doing for you? You're still losing games. Maybe we see some development, but Kobe had a great game last night. None of us came out of it and was like, good job. Yeah, I mean, like I don't think that. I think the Bulls are going to have to eventually make a clear-cut direction, and they're not looking to do that before January. Was it 15th?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. January 15th is the date where the rookies can be traded. December 15th, where like 90-some players become available. But
94% basically.
Well, 94% is by the January 15th.
Yeah.
There's 90 players that become available that aren't available right now, December 15th. But looking at this, like I said, the adding in the Charlotte and San Antonio kind of changed my because I did think the Bulls could possibly lose 10 to 12 straight. I think we can get a win against Charlotte, and I think we can get a win against San Antonio too. I think that when you say like change, it's funny. The change that we saw recently was kind of getting back to what the season started off with, is Patrick Williams being back as the starting 5, right? I mean 4.
Yeah.
God forbid. Don't give Billy any ideas. We don't need Patrick Williams starting at the 5. Please,
we know
Billy,
he'll do it. He'll do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Billy Donovan's like, don't you threaten me with a good time.
So while we've heard, I got to ask you this while we're talking about the schedule, and we got asked it in the live stream. I don't think we got to the comment though. People have asked, is there any number of games the Bulls could lose where this whole thing of Billy Donovan's job being safe changes? When you look at this upcoming stretch for the Chicago Bulls, let's say the losing streak reaches something astronomical like 15, 16 games. Do you think that may make front office and ownership be more open to revisit retaining Billy Donovan?
Why? At that point, you're in at least one season of trying to tank. And he's clearly losing you games.
Well, that's the thing. I don't think they're trying. That's still what it comes down to. This front office still is not trying to tank. We are in a unintentional tank, which is
we're in an unintentional tank. Which, by the way, is the best way to tank if you're gonna tank. Like I hate just like we give up. Like try to win. If you suck, you suck. Guess what? We suck right now, and it's so bad that it's like I guess you want to retain. I would say you want to retain Billy through the January 15th date or whenever you move on from Zach LaVine.
Bulls used to fire coaches on Christmas.
Oh, listen, which I went back because I remember everybody always talking about that as like, that's bogus. But the Bulls basically would sign guys multi-million-dollar checks for Christmas and say, go spend the rest of the year with your family.
Well, also that's when the the middle of the season actually was around that time period. Like,
but it's just funny because it'd be like, most would be like, that's bogus. You got fired on Christmas. And it's like, I just handed that man like a $6 million check and said, go spend it. That's not that bad.
People don't understand with coaches in the NBA, when you get fired, they still have to pay you over all those years.
They still got to give you your normal full contract.
It's basically, they're just saying, hey, we're going to pay you not to do this anymore.
Scott Skiles was getting paid while he was winning games in Orlando.
But that was only because so usually when coaches sign a new contract with a new team, that is when you can stop paying them. Yeah. But Scott Skiles had a special clause in his contract where it was like, if you fire me and I get a job the next day, you still got to pay me. It's like, who was Scott Skiles' agent?
No, but get that. The best part is Skiles wanted out. It did not take effect if he quit.
That's crazy.
He went to the front office and said, I quit. They don't want to listen to me. And the front office said, please no.
They said no. Yeah, I remember that.
Stick around.
Yeah.
And then fired him a month later.
That's crazy. That's wild. Hey, listen, Scott Skiles got
Scott
paid.
Skiles.
Shout out to Scott Skiles.
He was all right. Yeah, I mean, he was a good coach.
Cool.
He was an average coach.
For the same thing that people give credit for Mark Jackson for setting the tone, people got to also give that to Scott Skiles a little bit, because Luol Deng, Ben Gordon, Kirk Hinrich, they all learned to come in and set that expectation for themselves under Scott Skiles. So there you go with that.
Hey, man, I think the scariest thing in the world is Scott Skiles' picture from his playing days.
Bro.
It's also the thought that Scott Skiles made the NBA.
No, well, that's also a skill. And what's the career leader and assist in the game. So there you go on that.
For a single game. Yeah, what do you have?
No, it was 22, I think.
Is it steals and assists or just assists?
I think it's just assists. If it's steals, I don't remember that.
I thought Scott had a game where he had like,
I don't know, maybe. But listen, shout out to Scott Skiles too, because his photo also is the most terrifying male balding pattern you can possibly have in life. So,
I mean, he's basically white Chris Middleton.
That's crazy. So we're gonna get into our sponsor on this episode. We're gonna talk to you guys about eBay Motors. Our partner at eBay Motors have teamed up with Locked On Fantasy Basketball host Josh Lloyd to bring you some of the best fantasy picks each week, all season long. Whether you're preparing for a daily draft or scouting the waiver wire, every week we're going to provide you players that are guaranteed to fit your roster. So let's see who Josh has picked out for us in this week's eBay guaranteed fantasy picks of the week. So Pat, I'm going to throw this one to you on here. Scoot Henderson. How you feeling about Scoot Henderson coming back? Had a little bit of a rocky start. How you feeling about Scoot's ability to maybe give a couple of people some fantasy points there on his return to Portland now? Fair enough. I feel the same exact way. You know, no words necessary. Scoot Henderson has been playing like absolute cheeks. He almost playing like he belongs on the Chicago Bulls. You might as well put him on the Bulls. Like,
hey, bro,
fit right in.
He's been god off. I was like, he's just in a bad position. I would have looked at the game. I was like, oh God, this is terrible. Terrible. But with that being said, Josh Lloyd from Locked On Fantasy Sports Basketball is going to help you with your fantasy championship. And eBay Motors knows a championship team is about each player being the perfect fit. Same with your vehicle. With over 122 million parts, your number one ride or die, you can make sure your ride stays running smoothly. Brake kits, LED headlights, roof jack, bumpers, whatever your baby needs, eBay Motors has it. And with the eBay Guarantee Fit, it's guaranteed to fit your ride the first time, every time, or your money back. Plus, at these prices, you're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. eBay Guarantee Fit, only available to U.S. customers. Eligible items, exclusions do apply. You good?
All right, Pat.
Breathe. Can you breathe?
I'm tired, bro. I'm tired. Tired of this team. So is Charles Barkley, with that being said, because Charles Barkley,
Chuck.
Hey, bro, not only did he say that this isn't a basketball team, which shout out to him for that quote, he also suggested that the Chicago Bulls should relocate themselves to either, Seattle or Las Vegas?
Seattle or Vegas. He said, we're looking for two more teams. So we might as well move them to Seattle or Vegas.
That's crazy.
I mean, listen, that shows you how far we've fallen.
Yeah.
Chuck has nothing but respect for the 90s Bulls. Most people do. Chuck loved the Derrick Rose Bulls. Joakim Noah was his favorite player in the NBA. And now he's saying the Bulls should just give up and move. That tells you how far this team has fallen. And here's the best part. Michael Reinsdorf did all of this moving around, all of this. We're going to put this guy in place. We're going to go get AK. We're going to go get Billy Donovan. We're going to pay Zach LaVine. He did all of this because we were the laughing stock of the NBA. Guess what, Chicago? We're right back. Like, this is nothing that's different from where we're at. In fact, I would say that we're at a point now in the season where we're very similar to the final year of the Jim Boylan Bulls.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And it's so terrible to say, because when you go look at the Jim Boylan Bulls, yes, they were bad, but you also just have to go, that team did not have enough talent.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, it didn't have enough talent, but even then, it was hard to evaluate the talent because Jim Boylan was a terrible basketball coach.
He was so god-awful. Yeah.
Shout out to Jim Boylan for winning an award for coaching, too, by the way, which is crazy. But I think when it comes down to that
what
Jim
Boylan, what did he win?
He won it was like for coaching Team USA, like the Outstanding Coach Award or something like that. Hold on, I can look it up.
I saw something with him attached to Team USA, and I immediately swiped it off of my phone because I was like, I cannot allow this name to be on my phone.
Listen, it's so crazy. It's listen, it is what it is when it comes down to Jim Boylan. He sucked. But at the end of the day, here's what it comes down to. This team much talent to be where they are, but this is where they find themselves. So it doesn't matter. You got to. When you look at somebody like Chuck or whatever, whoever it is, all right now, me and you used to try to get on here and defend the Bulls when there be some shade or something thrown to the Bulls' way. At this point now, we can't. We're in a place where we can't defend this team at all. All the criticism is all valid right now.
Yeah, there's nothing to defend. Like everything Chuck said, we agreed with. And literally, it was a snippet. It was just literally like, while this team is awful, they have no idea what they're doing over there. They should just move.
This team is not relevant anymore. That's harsh, but it's accurate. Nobody cares about the Chicago Bulls right now outside of, like, you know what? I would love to hear from somebody who became a Chicago Bulls fan this year, because I need to ask you how, why, what happened?
I think that it's more interesting that we lost as many Bulls fans as we did in the last couple of years. You know, they were all right there on the 35 games, but then after it got ugly, boom, we out of here. I mean, it tells you what the state of this team is. It tells you, with the direction that everybody around the league feels like they're going. And to Chuck's credit, I remember before last season, he was saying that the Bulls should blow it up. And there were a lot of people that were on that train. I was not on that train. We came on here and basically said that Chuck's way too early on this take. At the end of the day, he was right. And guess where we're at now? Now we've prolonged it for 2 years, and now we got to blow it up anyway. This is you wanted to see more from this team. There was always hope. Again, hope sells tickets. We know that's what Jerry Reinsdorf thrives on, but there's no hope left with this team. There's no hope left. And I think that's the worst part. I think we've talked about this a couple of times on the show, but like, what changes does Billy Donovan make that makes us feel like this team is going to win more?
I mean, we've talked
or
about
head
it,
in the right direction.
I think Billy Donovan, this version of this roster, Billy Donovan has coached to the best of his abilities. And like I said before, that's not saying Billy Donovan's a good coach, because that's not what I'm saying. I'm not even saying he's the right coach. I'm not saying that another coach could maybe get more out of it. All those things are true. But Billy Donovan, to what he has, and he's used every tool in his toolbox at this point in time. We've seen it all.
It's not much.
It's not much. That's it. It's nothing there. That's it.
This man got a toolbox with a hammer and some scissors. That's all he got in there.
That's it. See, you don't have a socket wrench in there? No, we're just gonna hammer it until it gets loose, and then we got to pull it out.
Hey, yo, shout out to you. Never mind. Never mind.
You got to stop, bro.
Yeah, that was about to be a wild one. That was gonna be insane right there. Nah, man, and I think that's the part where, that you look at the national pundits when they do take the time to talk about the Chicago Bulls, and they've been saying the same thing for a few years. What's the point? Where are you going? Now, I don't agree with the whole tanking mindset, right? I'm not a fan of that. It's like we said just now, right? Like we're in the perfect kind of tank. They're actually trying. They go into every game and they hope to God that they can compete for something, and they literally don't have the talent to do so. Yeah. At this point, like, I think the worst part now is with now everybody getting to see kind of what this Bulls team is at this point in the season. And I think everybody kind of being on the same page here. Heck, y'all got C-Red Fred out here getting ready to talk about blowing it up. Like, that's how bad it's gotten. Y'all already know Fred is always on championship 7. But I think the number one thing that you have to ask, are you just prolonging it? Are you waiting too long now? Is at this point, you said it yesterday, Adam Amin talking about it as well. Why are you keeping veteran guys ahead of the young guys that possibly could go out there and play? You're getting your heads kicked in anyway. You got beat by 40-something last night.
The thing is that I look at it when it comes down to it is like, I'm not even saying don't play the vets, but like, if they're not playing good, bench them for the game. Like, and so like you would do it with Pat, right? How many games have we seen where Pat came out, he didn't have the necessary energy, ends up playing 15 games, right? Like, at this point, to me, I don't care what you get paid. I don't care any of that. If you're not showing it at this point, we have 5 wins on the season out of 19 games. Nobody's giving the heart. So whoever's giving it that day is who's going to get diminished. If you feel some type of way about it, play better. But we don't have a type of coach that's going to do that. Billy Donovan benched Zach LaVine at one time, and he's not going to do anything since then because of the fallout that's happened.
And that to me is, at this point, that's all you're prolonging. That's what you're pushing off now. You're just like, oh, well, we'll see what this team ends up being in the long run, but, we're not going to use any of the long run players. We're hoping for the future. We're going to change things in the future. Well, what's changing in the future? Because you're not playing any of the future players or giving them the shots, right? Like, I love now that players are getting on podcasts and talking about the politics of basketball, because when you listen to like Andre Iguodala or PJ Tucker and them talk about being the 5th option on the team or the 6th option on the team, and it's like, you will go quarters. You will play 48 minutes and go 24 of those minutes without ever making a shooting motion.
Yeah.
When you're looking at now, okay, the P. Wills, the Kobe Whites, now you're giving Kobe White shots, all of a sudden he can make them. Right? You're giving P. Will a couple of more shots, now all of a sudden he can make them. Now I think P. Will just cut to the basket. You can get a couple shots again.
Bro, P. Will cuts to the basket.
He's figured out.
Exactly. Like, and he got to also realize, like, hey, not that many people can stop you if you go to the lane tough, and you'll probably get to the free. Like, Patrick Williams just got to understand the company.
Hey, my brother said this. He said he needed to go work with Kobe in the offseason with dribble too much. He said this man
last offseason. Patrick Williams was at dribble too much, not this most recent offseason, the offseason before that. Nothing happened.
The offseason before that, I don't remember him working with dribble too much. I remember him being with DeMar.
He was
with
his
handle.
That was the summer he did DeMar, and then he was with dribble too much, and then he showed up at the Drew League, and then he showed up at another pro-am. No, he worked. Unless I'm crazy. Hold on.
I don't remember him working with dribble too much, and that handle tells me that it didn't work even if he did.
Listen. That's why
that man loses the ball.
Some people just can't do it. Yeah. Listen, this 1 year ago, Patrick Williams, he was there with Kobe when Kobe worked at dribble too much.
It was just that one day, though, right? I don't think it was the whole. Like, Kobe was there like the whole offseason with him. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, don't go with DeMar.
Yeah, we've seen it.
You go work on a handle. Yeah. No more with DeMar. Go work on getting your handles right. That's all I want to see. Hey, man, we appreciate you guys for showing love to the channel. We appreciate y'all for always tuning in daily on this channel, man. We do want to tell you guys about one of our sponsors, FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get a $150 bonus bet with any winning $5 money line bet. That's $150 if your team wins. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. I think what's really cool is they got these parlays all the time on here that literally all you got to do is just press a button, $10 wager. This one can win you $81 on a $10 wager. They really like making parlays with the Washington Wizards, though. That's the tough part. Jordan Poole to score 10+, Jalen Suggs 10+, Tyus Jones 10+, Daniel Gafford 10+, Deni Avdija 10+, Kuzma 15+, and Paolo Banchero 15+ points. That might be sure money. I don't know. Tyus Jones is always the question mark for me, and Deni Avdija.
Yeah, I mean, I this is why I don't bet, bro. This is why I don't do it.
I feel like Deni Avdija just gets looked off anytime Jordan Poole looks his way.
I mean, that's everybody, though, bro. Like,
yeah. I mean,
Jordan Poole could play on the team with Michael Jordan and be like, hey, Jordan, I got this. Don't worry about it.
Hey, my favorite thing is the fact that now, like, they bullied him into paying attention to the coach on the sidelines. Like, that's the funniest thing in the world to me. Hey, man, the FanDuel app is so easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/locked on to kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL.
All right, Pat, last topic of the day before we get out of it. We finished. Like, it's been so negative around Chicago Bulls fandom. Let's finish on something fun. Just talk about nostalgia, right? Shout out to, Jerry Ryan stuff. They always like to trout somebody out for nostalgia. We're going to do it a little bit here. Which former coach or player could save this version of the Chicago Bulls? Pat.
Jesus Christ.
What did he play for us?
That's basically what Michael Jordan was, wasn't it?
Yeah, for the most part, yeah.
That's pretty much what Larry Bird said.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, outside of going with the obvious ones, right? Scotty, Michael, Derrick Rose, Joakim. I would give you player-wise, give me, I guess I can't put Jimmy in there, right? Like, Jimmy's an obvious one, too. Give me a Kirk Heinrich. I just feel like Kirk's not going to stand for half the crap that's happening here.
That could very well be true.
Like, I think that Kirk, right? He was Captain Kirk for a reason, and he was a really good locker room leader on that team before they end up getting the Joe Keems and the Derrick Roses and all that, and he gets traded to Atlanta, which is a weird time. But give me Kirk Heinrich. Like, I just feel like he would be somebody who's going to speak up, who's going to tell DeMar DeRozan where he needs to be, who's going to tell Vooch what he needs to do on defense, and if they don't like it, we've seen Kirk, he will fight you.
Yeah, this is true.
Head coach-wise, Phibbs is an easy layup. Phil's an easy layup. We don't have a lot of greatness in our past, bro. I say, give me Vinny Del Negro.
Hey, Vinny Del Negro would have this team playing a little bit better. You think when Kirk Heinrich was out in Atlanta, he went to Blue Flame in? You think he went out there?
I think Kirk Heinrich was at the strip club every other night.
Okay, there you go.
Just getting his Kansas mind blown.
With that said,
that boy probably was like, "Oh my goodness."
I think prime Joakim Noah, and the reason why I say that I'm focusing specifically on this team. If you're going to run Kobe White as your starting point guard, I think having Joakim Noah, who does block shots, does rebound, can hit a mid-range shot, but also can do some of the creation for you as far as doing some ball handling and some playmaking for you. I think that frees up Kobe White a little bit more, and I also think Joakim Noah would literally get in DeMar and Zach LaVine's face and be like, "Hey, what y'all doing?"
I think Joakim would disrupt too much.
You think so?
Because
we need edge, we need energy. That's why I kind of went with Joe. But
I love Joe on this team, but I just think that, like,
and the former Billy Donovan played for him in college.
We're in such a different NBA that Billy probably wouldn't stand for what Joe is. Yeah, I mean, like, you had the perfect person for Joe. Like, Thibs is like,
I mean,
hey, sometimes you got to punch him in the face.
He let Russ be Russ. I don't know. I get what you're getting at with that.
Like, Russ is also like, Russ is the ultimate, like, hey, we're going to get this thing together. We're going to make this happen. We all together. We all in on this. Like, he's that guy in the locker room. We see that all the time. I think Joe in the locker room is probably like a little closer to Kevin Garnett.
Yeah, I think
right? Like Zach LaVine will walk in there after pouting on a 1-for-14 night and he'll blast him in the face. Like, just be like, yo, Joe, like, you just punched our highest paid player on the team. Like, absolutely.
Yeah, what that got to do with me? Somebody needed to do it. Y'all was
Zach LaVine got upset from getting benched. You think he's going to bounce back from Joakim punching him in the face?
He's going to Nikola Mirotic. Going to be a Mirotic Bobby Portis situation.
You know what? Hey, can I throw that in there instead of Kirk? Give me a Bobby Portis on this team.
Oh, I didn't think about that.
Give me a Bobby Portis on this team.
That's a really good pick.
We go all the way back and just like we want full on pandemonium. Give me Charles Oakley.
Oh no, bro. Come on.
He didn't want to be here anyway.
Yeah. It was just because of Jordan. Yeah, as far as coach though, I don't know if any coach that the former coach could save because then you're not changing anything on the court. Like, Tibbs will have them working hard on defense. Don't get me wrong. Dalen Terry would be playing. Julian Phillips probably not in the first year.
No.
But Tibbs would love Ayo Dosunmu.
Ayo would be our starting point guard.
He would love Ayo Dosunmu and probably Javon Carter. But yeah, that's all I got, bro.
I think Vinny could get more out of this team because he would play the young players.
Vinny was somebody. Well, that's pointing where that team was too. But yeah, Vinny.
That team was all young players pretty much.
Yeah. But even when he went to LA, he still used the young players in that team. So
he would find a way to utilize the Julian Phillips of the NBA right now. Like he was pretty good at that. That's why Vinny don't have a job.
That's because he starts fights everywhere that he goes. It's the
he
only
do be
thing
choking people out. He's choked out multiple GMs.
Yeah, he has more chokeouts than titles. Like it's
choking
crazy,
out John Paxson is crazy, bro. Because like Pax fight.
I remember when that story first got released, and people were like, "Well, how would John Paxson start fighting somebody who works for him?" And then you found out, hey, no, it was Vinny. Vinny started that. He was ready.
Yeah.
He was like, that's crazy. Bro.
And the fact that it's like, I feel like that's all Paxson. Like, I feel like the reason because Vinny stuck around after that.
Yeah, they finished the season out.
They finished that season out. That tells me Pax probably won the fight. Like,
or he didn't, and he was like, "Hey, I can't. Like, what if I fire him? He's gonna kind of be here." I don't know. I don't know.
I feel like Pax won that fight. I think Pax got hands, and he called his brother.
There you go.
He's like, hey, we jumping this dude after the season over.
But Vinny looks like he got a couple of calls he can make too.
Well, those are different calls.
Let's get up out of here, Pat.
Hey, man, follow us on everything at Locked On Bulls. You can follow me on everything at Pat the Designer. Appreciate y'all for showing love. And here we go again.
Yeah, you guys can follow me at CEO Haize. Thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of Locked On Bulls. We're also free and available on every podcasting app and platform of your choice, as well as YouTube. For Pat the Designer, I'm Haize. This has been Locked On Bulls, and we out here, y'all. Peace.
Peace.